Hi all and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to go over the two new units coming to Legion in the next few months, the Clone Commando and the Range Troopers. This is a quicker video, and we'll just be briefly going over what was revealed in the scenes to stat transmissions, along with a leak from another fellow YouTuber. The Clone Commandos add a much needed option to the Republic, giving you a very elite group of clones to use. A little bit more elite than the ARC Troopers, and for good reason. They have complete the mission, which gives them great buffs for playing the objective. The ability to have Surge to defend, and Critical 2, which is absolutely fantastic as long as they are within range 1 of the priority mission token. They also have Infiltrate, which lets them start very close to range 1 depending on the board setup. Katarn Pattern Armor lets one Clone Commando tank a ton of damage once per game, and it is an amazing option that we will go over a bit more in depth later. Infiltrate, Recharge 1, Target 1, and Shielded 1 are all amazing keywords, and will keep the commandos moving and tanking even more damage, not counting the Katarn Pattern Armor. The blasters are black-white dice, but Suppressive gives a bit more utility to them, and if you're using the commandos right, they're going to consistently have Critical 2 anyway. Now, the Clone Commandos are 75 points, which is actually pretty good for what you get out of them, and I genuinely think these have a pretty good competing slot in the Republic. Now we're going into the Clone Commander's sister unit, Delta Squad, which was quasi-leaked by another YouTuber, Grey Squadron Gaming. We kind of already knew they were coming, though. As you can see, you get a few more upgrade slots, unlimited courage, and the independent keyword, with a slight damage buff with 2 black dice on the main attack. It is worth it, and definitely better than the normal commandos, especially if you love Delta Squad. It is 100 points, however, and as written right now, if you take Delta Squad, you can't take other Commando squads, which AMG has apparently commented they are fixing from my online research before doing this, although I could not find a spot where they said. It was just playtesters pointing it out and AMG saying, yeah, you're right, that's wrong. So, all from third parties, so an unknown if it is actually intended or not. Going into the Clone Commando upgrades, they are very solid, and you get all of them for free, which are amazing. The Katarn Pattern Armor reducing all damage to 1 wound is amazing, and makes the unit so much fun since I get it for free. It is only a once per game thing instead, but if used right, it can get a lot of heavy fire from something down to just 1 wound, which is just a really good, it's a get out of jail free card for Legion, pretty much a free pass for bad positioning as well, when you think about it. The sniper config is fine. It gives more range, but since it needs to be refreshed, I believe only one can be added to the attack pool for both of these. So even though you have the reconfigure keyword, I am 99% certain you cannot have 4 DC-17 shooting and 4 of the anti-armor config shooting. Although, the rules for the reconfigure are annoying, and I read them, and I'm pretty sure I'm right this way, but I could also be very wrong. Someone who knows more about reconfigure, please let me know in the comments. It is not a keyword I come across most often. The anti-armor config is also absolutely amazing, and it gives a surprising amount of strength to the unit against vehicles. I kind of expected it to be worse than it actually is, and I really like it. Also, the fact that both of these cards can be flipped even if it's exhausted are really good, and keeps you going with the commandos. There's a lot here that is just really, really good for the commandos, and all of this is for free. It is built into the 75 point cost, arguably giving this unit way more versatility than most other things at its cost level, and that's not counting any other upgrades you can put onto them. All in all, I love the commandos, and everything they're doing with them is absolutely fantastic. I wish AMG took this design philosophy for other elite units more often. Next up, we have the Range Troopers. For a support slot, they are pretty good. They have Advanced Targeting Trooper 1, Armor 1, Indomitable, Scale, and Spur. Advanced Targeting Trooper 1 just means you have to shoot everything at 1 if you want the aim token. It's fine, but it's not great, it's not terrible, it's fine. They are definitely fun for 60 points. You have red defense, 1 health, 2 courage, but you're competing a lot with different supports. And it does feel much more like a Special Forces role, in my opinion, although I understand why they put it in the support. Because while you're competing with other supports, the other supports you're competing with are like the E-Web Blaster, the Speeder Bike, or the Dewback, things that people don't often take as much anyway, and having a 4-man unit that is kind of elite is a good option for that and can be used pretty well. Without upgrades, you still have a solid 1 health, 2 courage, 1 black dice, range 4 unit, which is good. Range 4 units are kind of hard to come by, and these guys have scale and spur, which it keeps the movement options good, and Indomitable makes them hard to suppress. But I feel like unless you run on a lot of terrain-heavy boards, which I find that Legion does not use that often, scale and spur are not really going to come up as often. While spur does increase the movement, I do feel like it can go hand in hand with scale in that way. Well, that's just me. That's just experience I've had from my local groups. The people who love movement options and love having elevated terrain and love running the Empire, these guys are probably an auto-include with scale. The upgrades for Range Trooper are solid, all around. The DLT-20A gives a solid 2 red dice addition to the gun line and some decent anti-vehicle with impact too. The extra mini is there, as always. It's there. There for a reason. The T-21A adds a good 4 dice and suppressive to the attack pool, and the option to spec anti-vehicle, anti-infantry is always welcome, although I feel all recent releases feel like they have to be either anti-infantry or anti-vehicle, and don't properly spec into one or the other. I am a weirdo who very much enjoys having anti-vehicle stuff in there because vehicles are still kind of decent, and if you don't have any impact or ion in your list, they're really going to get to you fast and make it hard to actually do what you want to do. But I would kind of appreciate having things spec'd more into pure anti-infantry or pure anti-vehicle. I feel like every option for every faction, from core to special forces, has options for both, when it would be nice when you get into these more niche units in like the support role that can just spec into one or the other. Although I guess that would also kind of limit options and make it so you can't always run it. Just my little rant aside. Both of these units are solid choices. While the Clone Commando adds a much-needed option to the Republic, the Range Troopers are another drop in the bucket in the Empire range. While both look really good, the Range Trooper is competing with a lot of units for keywords that help with terrain-heavy boards, which a lot of people don't use. So Range Trooper, I feel like, will see a lot less play than Clone Commando. But this is after first impressions. I also don't primarily run Empire. I am currently building an Empire list very slowly, but I'm kind of waiting for all the new releases to come out, because I like a lot of the new releases before my Empire list is actually done. So, those Empire players, let me know in the comments below if Range Trooper is something that you would bring in your lists, because to me, it does not fit what I feel like a lot of Empire units can do. I don't know. It feels like an odd one out on the Empire. It's good, but it's kind of just there. Meanwhile, the Clone Commandos are probably going to be an auto-include for a lot of Republic players, and I understand why. For 75 points, you get probably one of the best unit stat lines in the entire clone range for that point for value. I hope all of you had a wonderful week, and I will see you all next weekend with another video of some sort. Have a great week, all.